As you walk the grimy, rundown streets of Stellar Bay, you may notice a man standing outside the apartment building looking rather distraught. We can approach him and ask what's going on.
I think I'm gonna be sick.
Are you alright?
No! I just stepped in a dead man's blood. And I think one of the flies landed on my mouth. If you're going into the apartments, do not go into the lower one on the right. That's where the body is. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to go contemplate a hot shower.
Yeah, that might not be a bad idea. But can his words be true? Was somebody really killed here in the Stellar Bay apartments? Preparing for the worst, we can head over to the room on the lower right. Inside is everything that we feared. A body lies on the floor, caked in blood. As a matter of fact, blood is everywhere. On the walls, on the cabinets, on the floors. Whoever did this was clearly fueled by rage and has zero regard for human life. What kind of a monster would do such a thing? We'd better have a look around to see if there's any clues. Sure enough, sitting on the table in the middle of the room, we find a tossball betting slip. This betting slip lists some increasingly bold wagers made for a team called Mostly Colonists. It's from Left Field Tossball Betting. Already, we know a couple things about our victim. Not only was he a fan of the game Tossball, which I don't believe we've ever discussed in detail on this channel, we'll have to make a video on that soon, but we also know that the victim was interested in gambling, and apparently wasn't afraid to make risky bets either. There's another room connected to this one, but it's just a bathroom. Doesn't look like there's anything of interest in here. However, if we head back out, we notice some kind of carrying bag hanging on the back of a chair. When we examine it, we learn that it's actually a hastily packed suitcase, stuffed with several ragged outfits. Sounds like our victim was trying to make a quick getaway when his attacker rushed through the door and murdered him. As far as loot is concerned, we do find a handful of mag picks in this room, but they're set to owned. Feel free to take them if you want in your playthrough. I don't believe there will be any consequences, but for me personally, I decided to leave them behind. Something about stealing from someone who was just brutally murdered doesn't exactly sit well with me. So we have a couple of clues, but we're still not sure who would commit such a heinous act, or what would drive them to do it in the first place. Maybe we can learn more by paying a visit to Left Field Tossball Betting, which we know our victim frequented often to make bets on the Mostly Colonists tossball team. Left Field Tossball Betting is located towards the northwest corner of Stellar Bay. The inside, though rather small, looks similar to your average sports bar, with a few bar stools and a total of 10 screens hanging on the walls. Standing behind the counter, and apparently oblivious to the fact that we just walked through the front door, is a woman named Nell.
Ooh, you're the new face. Wow, you must be up on all the latest tossball games. So who do you follow? Wait, don't tell me. You look like a Hammersmith Thunder fan. No, Glacial H Mammoths.
Look, I know you love this sport, but let's be honest. Who has time to watch grown men and women hit balls with sticks? No offense.
Everyone needs a good diversion. That's what keeps you from thinking about the marauders outside town. The raptidons chewing at the walls. Tossball's just about the only good news we get around here. When our frequency's not too clogged up anyway. So, what can I do for you?
I found this betting slip in a dead man's apartment. Any idea what might have happened to him?
Poor Isaac. I was wondering why I hadn't seen him in a few days. I'd really like to help. Isaac was a sweet fellow, even if he did have terrible teeth.
Terrible teeth? What's that got to do with anything?
They were pretty distinct. Monarch doesn't exactly have a thriving dental industry, and Isaac seemed to get stuck in all sorts of bad habits, dietary and otherwise. Sometimes he'd drink purpleberry punch by the liter, other times he'd keep betting on a losing team. Started owing the wrong people money.
Uh-oh, that doesn't sound good. Who did he owe?
I don't know for sure, but I saw Elijah and his buddies pushing Isaac around. They're hooligans from Fallbrook. They sweep into town, drop supplies off behind the warehouse, and spend the rest of their stay getting rowdy over tossball games. They usually loiter in the alley behind the yacht club. They're not allowed in the bar anymore. I bet you anything Isaac ran into trouble with one of them.
Well, whether Isaac owed them money or not, it doesn't justify cold-blooded murder. I'll make them pay.
Good. Someone's gotta. Mr. Sanjar will be pleased to hear about it when you're done. I know he gets fed up with the Fallbrook Bullies, but there's not much he can do.
Before we go confront these killers, we can set out to collect some more evidence. Nell mentioned that Elijah and his crew often drop off supplies behind the warehouse. This, of course, is the Saltuna warehouse, whose employees are always smiling and happy.
Smells like wrapped in here.
Oh, it does work. I bought some musk from Sebastian to cover up the Saltuna smell.
Trust me, this is worse.
Heading straight through the warehouse, we can exit through a large bay door in the back. We find ourselves at the fishing docks, where unfortunately for us, there's not very much as far as loot is concerned. However, we do find a bin hidden behind a large crate. Inside, we find the murder weapon, a broken tossball stick covered in blood. The tossball stick also has a decayed purple tooth embedded within it. And as if that wasn't enough, there's a name written along the shaft. Elijah. This appears to be all the proof we need. Elijah used his own tossball stick to mercilessly kill Isaac. With all this in mind, we can pay a visit to our little friend hiding out behind the yacht club.
Who the fuck are you? This ain't your alley.
Hey, what are you doing here? This is our secret alley. Berta already pissed by those crates to market.
Now, there's a couple different outcomes here based on the dialogue options that we choose. We'll be sure to explore both of them, and then analyze which is the most moral ending to this quest. First, we can try to back off and say, you know what, I really should get going.
Not so fast. You look like you got some bits. I'm thinking we take them off your corpse.
No, really, how about I just leave?
Not this time.
Don't mess with me!
It's not very difficult to kill off Elijah and his crew, but what I will say is make sure you don't let them corner you. The alley behind this yacht club is pretty small, and there's a lot of nooks and crevices where you can easily get trapped and then overwhelmed. With the 4 bullies dead, we can go ahead and search their bodies for some minor loot. There's also a bin containing some light and heavy ammunition and some more ammo sitting on top of a crate. Alternatively, when speaking with Elijah, we can take a more aggressive approach and say, I know you murdered Isaac.
Listen, that purple-toothed twerp had it coming. Not that anyone has proof. And not that it's any of your business.
Then we can say, wrong answer, in which case the gang attacks us again and we're forced to kill them.
Don't mess with me!
With Elijah and his crew dead, we can report to Sanjar and let him know that the bullies have been taken care of, and that justice has been served.
Thank you again for retrieving the bolt. It's every bit as complex as I'd heard, but I'm up to the challenge. Anyway, what can I do for you?
Isaac Rose is dead, Sanjar. I found the people who killed him.
But that's terrible. What happened?
I've taken care of it. The killers are dead.
But that means we won't be able to log their testimonies. If there's one thing I've been hoping to re-establish in Stellar Bay, it's proper documentation for legal matters.
Truthfully, this response from Sanjar frustrated me just a little bit. I thought he'd be a bit more thankful that Stellar Bay has one less killer on the loose. But then again, Sanjar isn't exactly like the Iconoclast, for example, and seems to stray away from physical confrontation. You know, Sanjar, maybe I could have gotten their statements if they hadn't been ready to kill me.
Always a shame when tempers get the better of good sense. Still, your intervention in the matter is much appreciated. Please consider this payment for your services.
Sanjar rewards us with 500 bits, and that's about it. Elijah and his crew are no more. They can never hurt anybody ever again. However, when confronting them, there is another less violent outcome. We can point to the evidence that we found behind the warehouse and say to Elijah, "I found your tossball stick. This is all gonna catch up with you."
How? That was supposed to go out with the next batch of salt tuna. What are you suggesting, pal?
You're finished. Leave Stellar Bay before people here run you out on a rail.
Fine. This pissant town ain't worth it anyway.
And Elijah and his gang walk out of the alley and leave Stellar Bay. Alternatively, we can pass an intimidate check and say, "You've bullied people long enough. If you know what's good for you, you'll clear out and never come back."
Wow. Most of the pencil pushers around here cave as soon as you look at them funny. Fine, we're going. This ain't worth it.
We get the same outcome here. Elijah and the others pack up and leave without another word. If we choose this non-violent approach, then we get slightly different dialogue from Sanjar.
I'm glad to hear you've dealt with them. They've been causing quite a bit of trouble around town. I've been consumed with other matters of late, but I would have dealt with them eventually.
If you say so.
It really was on my to-do list. Still, your intervention in the matter is much appreciated. Please consider this payment for your services.
And again, the quest ends, and we're rewarded with 500 bits. I did go back to left field tossball betting to see if we had the option to tell Nell what happened, but sadly we couldn't. This feels like a bit of a missed opportunity. I would really have liked to hear what she thinks about us getting justice for poor Isaac. Still, it seems that the residents of Stellar Bay may already be aware of Isaac's fate.
Poor Isaac. I thought we were safe inside these walls.
But ladies and gentlemen, here's the question. Which is the morally correct outcome for this quest? Is it better to spare Elijah and simply force him and his crew to leave Stellar Bay? Or should Elijah be forced to pay for his crimes with his own life? Let me start by arguing what should happen in an ideal Outer Worlds universe. In an ideal Outer Worlds universe, there would be an established court system in Stellar Bay, and Elijah and his friends would have their fate decided by a jury. That way, the court could listen to testimony, determine which of the four actually swung the bat that killed Isaac, how big of a role the others played in the crime, and then make charges accordingly. Unfortunately, such a system doesn't exist in Stellar Bay, so that simply isn't an option. We have to play with the hand we've been dealt. That's why, though it's not necessarily a perfect solution, I feel that killing Elijah and his crew is the best, most moral way we can complete this quest. Here's why. We know for a fact that Elijah is a notorious troublemaker. He gets rowdy and disruptive. He was banned from the yacht club, and now he's responsible for the killing of an innocent man. This type of person is more than just a rebel. He poses a threat to others. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why I think it's a grave mistake to let him escape. If he and his crew have the capacity to kill innocent people in Stellar Bay, then they also have the capacity to kill innocent people in Fallbrook, or Amber Heights, or anywhere really. Nobody is truly safe as long as this person, this morally corrupt individual, is allowed to walk free. Moreover, I am a firm believer in justice for all. Forcing Elijah to leave town is not justice. It's a slap on the wrist and nothing more. And even if he's never allowed to return to Stellar Bay, so what? Elijah can still settle down somewhere else and live a long, full life as a free man, even though he himself is a murderer. That doesn't sit well with me. And if Isaac still had a voice, something tells me it wouldn't sit well with him either. But what are your thoughts? Do you agree that Elijah is better off dead? Or do you think that the best solution is to take a non-violent approach and force them out of Stellar Bay for good? Let me know in the comments below. Guys, I am happy to be back making videos on YouTube. I know that I've been on quite a long hiatus, but I want to sincerely thank you for sticking around. There's still so much to cover in the Outer Worlds universe, and there's also several games that I eventually want to start making videos on as well. More to come on that. For now, thank you again so much for your continued support. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next video.